Thank you. The next and last item is item number 8, application for certificate of appropriateness at 34 East 68th Street in the Upper East Side Historic District, docket number 16-2114, block 1382, lot 48, a neo-Greek style row house designed by R.W. Buckley and built in 1879. This is an application to amend certificate of appropriateness 15-9357 to reconstruct the primary facade.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Carly Rodman, Preservation Staff. This is an application for work at 34 East 68th Street, which is located between Park and Madison Avenue and the Upper East Side Historic District. The primary facade of this building is brownstone and is currently heavily coated. You can see here this is the existing condition, and the facade is 2 colors. The condition of the underlying brownstone is highly friable, and because the facade has been resurfaced so many times, the dimensional elements on the building have lost some level of detailing. This building was last in front of the Commission in May of this year, and the building received approval to reconstruct the primary facade. The approved work scope includes the removal of the brownstone and stucco back to the backup brick, and to reconstruct the facade in a precast concrete ashlar block with terracotta for the dimensional elements on the building. And the image on the right is a rendering of that scope of work. At the public hearing, the applicants were asking for the facade to be completely reconstructed in terracotta. At the hearing, the applicants did not have material samples that showed the proposed aggregate texture for the terracotta, and there are a number of Commissioner questions about the appearance of the proposed terracotta, the finish texture, and the validity of having aggregates in the terracotta. The applicants have returned today, and they are proposing to amend the existing certificate of appropriateness to reconstruct the facade entirely in terracotta. They have brought a number of material samples and finish texture samples, and we have the president of Boston Valley here to answer any questions that you have. And Michael Chen is the project architect.
We will be open hearing.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Michael Chen, I'm the architect for the project. As Carly mentioned, the previously existing condition of the building was very poor. While the building is the sort of last remaining reasonably well preserved brownstone in appearance on the block, upon further investigation, we found.
No, I think it's the arrow to the left or right. There you go.
No. Sorry. We found this to be the condition. You could sort of peel the brownstone away with your fingers. We had a sounding done by Preserve, and they found that about 90% of the building's primary facade was what they referred to as hollow, which meant that the water penetration was at least half an inch to the impact on the front surface of the building. We considered a number of possible materials to reclad the primary facade. As I'm sure the Commission is already aware, the kind of original brown sandstone in the region is no longer available. The quarries are closed. We didn't regard the kind of substitute brown sandstone, either of Asian or European origin, to be especially desirable because it's something off color and has a kind of prominent white veining. So we ended up with a proposal that was sort of half precast concrete, or an approval that was sort of half precast concrete and half terracotta. The terracotta manufacturer that we're working with is Boston Valley Terracotta. As I'm sure that you're all aware, they're a leader in the production of restoration terracotta. So we've been working very closely with Boston Valley to develop a suitable custom material that is in keeping with the historic fabric of the building. These are some examples of some of the previous restoration projects that Boston Valley has undertaken. And in the booklets that you have before you, I'll just mention really briefly at the back, there's also a kind of appendix that includes a longer kind of historical trajectory of the use of terracotta as a substitute for brownstone, which is a practice that originates in the 1880s, which is kind of contemporary with the building that we're working on. So these are the approved, these are the sort of the previously existing and then the approved, the proposed window details. kind of closer look. So as you can see, we're working with a solid terracotta block, which is fully grouted at the window surround. So the question before the commission is really whether the ashlar block, the flat work on the building, is more suitable in precast concrete, which was the material that was approved, or if it's more suitable as terracotta. I'll just kind of
Right, and the commission already supported it in precast concrete, correct?
that's correct.
All right, so now you've got samples and you're going to show.
That's right. That's right.
So
So
you're-
you can see on the left. This is a precast concrete, and the concern at the previous hearing really concerned the sort of liveliness and the textural qualities of the terracotta. So we have this is a sort of partial evolution of some of our sampling process, beginning with sort of testing different aggregates and then washing the surface and then raking the surface and then sort of and then manipulating the mix of the color of the aggregate in order to get the kind of spectral quality, the reflectivity that one finds in natural brownstone to be present within a sample. You can see we did a kind of sort of motion test just to verify that in fact in sunlight, you get sort of residual kind of sparkle from the mica that's present within brownstone, which is frequently in precast concrete. And we've worked very hard to kind of create a comparable effect in the terracotta. So the material that we're proposing is a through body terracotta. It's the same color all the way through, there's no glaze. And it has a mixture of a variety of different aggregates, some of which have a higher reflectivity value, and some of which are actually ground up terracotta from previous use.
I have a question. I think matching is not the issue, at least for me. But if I understand it, the whole building will come out several inches from...
No, we'll absolutely respect the plane of the existing building, because the thickness of the new material is comparable to the thickness of the material that is in the process of being removed now.
So that goes for the lentils,
Yes.
everything?
Yes.
Okay, then I misread, sorry.
So these are the same details. You can just see that the flat work is now shown in terracotta as opposed to precast concrete. And I'll just very briefly, before and after, as approved and as proposed renovations, as approved and as proposed renders of the front facade.
Can you just explain the rationale why you want to,
Of course.
yes,
Of course.
choose terracotta over the precast?
We were looking at a number of issues, and right now, the issue concerning the detail on the building was really paramount to the new owners. They really wanted to recover the original crispness of the neo-Baroque building that we were working with, which is a kind of incredibly interesting moment of sort of the beginnings of sort of machine carved ornament, very sharp cuts, very crisp edges in the detail. And we didn't feel that was executable in any of the materials that are typically approved without contest, meaning stucco and precast. We simply weren't able to get the kind of carved quality to the ornamental elements of the building that we were looking for. That was the original kind of genesis of the terracotta on the front facade.
Has this been used in New York?
It has. So this is a
No, not terracotta, but I mean as a replacement for deteriorated brownstone and brownstone buildings?
not as a replacement for deteriorated brownstone, although this is a kind of history that we have compiled of the use of terracotta as a substitute for brownstone. So where the terracotta is doing the same visual work that on the building as ornament that
So
brownstone.
this is kind of a test. I mean, these buildings are deteriorating by the tens of thousands all over town all the time.
That's right.
And so, but this has never been done before, that's what I asked.
No,
So
to my knowledge, it's not been
Big
done.
test case.
Sure. And the ornament, the window enfranements, as well as the base of the building, have already been approved by the commission to be executed in terracotta. So the question is really whether the flat work can be appropriately executed in terracotta now, as opposed to the precast concrete that was approved previously. So I'm sort of returning to the issue of the appearance of the material, because that was sort of the contentious that was the moment, that was an issue of contention at the time, that many of the commissioners didn't feel that the material properties of the terracotta that we proposed would be lively enough and in keeping with the historic appearance of brownstone. So we worked, very diligently to create an effect that is durable and long-lasting. And John, who's the president of and owner of Boston Valley Terracotta, is also a ceramics engineer, can answer any technical questions concerning that. But we believe that it's a restoration that will last for another 100 years at least.
Questions over there? Yes, Michael?
Is there mica in the terracotta?
There
And
is-
if not, what is used to create that spectral quality?
There is you can see that there is a reflective material. It's part of the aggregate of the terracotta. It's crushed. It's not mica.
It's kyanite. It's a kyanite material. It has a reflective quality similar to mica. It's used as a filler or a grog aggregate to control shrinkage. It can be removed or it can be added depending on the quality of the work.
And the grain size can be altered as well.
Yes, the grain size can be taken down. Right now it's a 35 mesh, but it's readily available.
Did you take samples from the original Portland to find out what the mesh size was there?
No, I did not. No.
But you could.
Yes, it could be analyzed. Yes.
Could you just state your name for the record, please?
Yes, my name is John Kraus, President, Boston Valley Terracotta.
Okay, yes. Michael, you have questions? Yes.
Just a question from ignorance. My understanding was that in the old days, terracotta failed because it was a sealed product against a grouted substrate that expanded and contracted at a different rate and had water infiltration as a result and therefore bust off buildings. This is going to be fully grouted. How do you get around that? Is it going to be a silicone joint instead of a grouted joint? Are there going to be weeps? Just technically, how do you do it so that it doesn't fail like other stuff has failed?
From an installation standpoint, it's installed in a manner that's comparable to precast or any other masonry material. It's fully grouted, although there is an air cavity behind. So it's also able to weep out the back of the backup wall. The anchors are stainless steel, so that they don't corrode. So I sort of mentioned that I can show you the detail. We're also working with Bureau Happel on facade engineering, so the level of expertise has been brought to kind of develop this to a high level.
Yeah.
Resolutions are high.
Yes, Michael?
If I could actually help clarify that,
Yes.
typically what we have found with terracotta buildings that we've worked on, it's not, with the rare exception of poorly fabricated terracotta, it's not the terracotta at all that fails, it's expansion of ferrous anchors within the terracotta because of water infiltration into the building.
So I think what Michael is referring to, there'll be a cavity wall system, which is probably an improvement from what was there. The original construction, the brownstone was integrated in with the backup brick solid. So the backup wall is too wide. There'll be a small cavity space, 1/2 inch to 1 inch, and then so the facade can breathe, and then it'll be stainless steel pins tied back into that
Great.
facade that'll
Cool.
hold the terracotta. And we'll work with his engineer, Bureau Happel, which will design all the attachment system.
Yes, Roberta?
So, just to recap, so what you're saying is that you would replace the brownstone with panels, right, out of terracotta?
They're blocks.
They're blocks. So are they, I'm not sure what the facade looks like now, but so it's going to be the same size blocks? Or
Yes.
is it going to be, saying what's the division now? When you look at the brownstone that's deteriorated,
Right.
what was it?
I have to confess that I don't have the dimension right off the top of my head, but you can see the joint is in.
Yeah, so, but are you saying that you're matching
We'll match
those?
the joints.
You're
right.
matching those?
We've
And so
already-
it's the same thickness and it's the same color,
That's
and
right.
you could make it the same, not sure what the intensity of the the Michael could be the same, the contrast. Because like the photographs shows, in the photographs, it doesn't look very much like brownstone. I think that does, that's better, the samples, but I can't really
Yes.
see them. And I just wondered if what we're talking about is something that really looks like the brownstone and not something sparkling more than the brown.
Right, can you change that grain? Because it is sparkling. I don't know, does the brownstone have that?
Brownstone does have a little
Okay.
bit of that.
Yeah, a little.
Right.
I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen this brownstone, but I know that some buildings.
Well,
more, but
there is
most
no
have-
existing brownstone that really survives on this building. It's
Uh-huh.
fairly liquefied.
Okay,
So-
well, then I'd be comparing it to whatever other buildings, brownstone buildings.
That's right. So,
But,
the reason why that board exists is so that you can make a visual comparison between the terracotta material, which is a smaller sample, and precast concrete, which was what was approved for the building. So we're trying to demonstrate that those materials have a comparable visual appearance.
Michael?
yes, better.
I was just going to say that all of the analysis that you would need to do to determine, like, the size of the aggregate, things like that, could be done by, there are many analysis firms, Jablonski, building conservation, people like that. You've got the best terracotta manufacturer in the country working for it. So all of those things that are variables can be satisfied by an analysis and then built into the construction documents. It's very simple.
I actually prefer the.
sell this.
No, but I am curious to know about your, right, but
I
you,
actually prefer the finish of the precast, the color and all that. I think it looks to me more like brownstone that I'm used to seeing than these. But
Can't that rework with staff? I mean, to get the exact mix is gonna be something that the staff will.
And the range of, I can pass this board around too, the range of textures that are possible is fairly wide. So one of the things that we can still continue to work with staff on is to determine exactly how flat versus how.
Do you have a rendering of the mix using the flat plane as the concrete and the terracotta for the window treatment?
It's difficult in a digital rendering because, of course, we're talking about materials that are intended to appear visually identically. So there's not a level of resolution that we can get where we are empirically comparing concrete to terracotta in a digital rendering. Unfortunately, I mean, I think that the material sample is really the best sort of judge that.
yes, yes, Michael and then Fred.
One other misgiving that I would have about this is that essentially you're going to be probably extruding the ashlar pieces. When we specify cast stone, typically what we call for is a range of color, as it were, in the, we specify a range of
Yes, sir.
4 or 5 different colors. Can you achieve that
Well,
with the terracotta as well?
The samples, the reason why there are 2 terracotta samples is they do illustrate a range of coloration.
Okay,
Naturally.
thank you.
I just
Yes.
wanted to comment that, based on what I now think of as a really quality team, a very interesting but new way of helping to save our deteriorating brownstone all over the city. I, for one, find this to be a very exciting guinea pig, if you will. You're in really great hands, though, with the manufacturer, the engineer, and so forth, and it's certainly worth trying to figure out if this is the new way to deal with this problem, which is
The new old
all
way.
over well,
It's good, I mean,
well,
The new old way.
material is
Terms.
old, but I don't think it's been used quite like
Right.
this before.
Well,
so.
but, and also, if I could, I'm becoming a proponent of this as I sit here. I also envision the possibility, every time you do a cast stone project, it's a one-off. I envision the possibility of Boston Valley cornering the market, but creating stock so that if you have a row of Portland, what had been Portland brownstone facades, it's actually less expensive for the homeowner / applicant to exercise this possibility as a restoration product. So,
And
thanks.
like you said, they've got the best team working on it, so if we want to test it, this is the best team to
Yeah.
test it.
And if it doesn't work out, okay, one building wasn't as perfect as we wanted it, but then we'll know.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right, we can close the hearing. Okay, Diana, would you like to read the resolution?
Sure. In the matter of a certificate of appropriateness, Borough of Manhattan, 34 East 68th Street, Upper East Side Historic District, Block 1382, Lot 48. Application is to amend certificate of appropriateness 59357 to reconstruct the primary facade, zoned R&B. I recommend approval, finding that the brownstone primary facade has been heavily coated and is exfoliating, damaged, or otherwise unsound. That due to existing stucco and coatings on the building, the facade has lost portions of the profile detailing at the window surrounds and sills. That the use of terracotta as a substitute material will allow for the full restoration of the details of the facade, including the profiled window and door surrounds and sills, and the original ashlar coursing. That terracotta is a traditional building material used contemporaneously during the construction date of this row and is found in row house construction in the city. And that the terracotta will have a finish color and aggregate to achieve a texture similar to brownstone and is in keeping with the traditional color and material palette of late 19th century neo-Gothic style buildings.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, this application's been approved.